He stood alone in a chamber built to break minds. Surrounded by alien warlords who had crushed entire galaxies, he did not shake. He did not blink. When asked, "Do you not fear us?" his answer was so calm. It triggered something the universe had not felt in ages: silence. Before we dive deep into the story, subscribe to the channel so you never miss powerful and thought-provoking stories. Let's go in deep. The Valkyrie Armada did not arrive quietly. It came like a moving wall of fire and shadow, stretching across the stars. Their ships were shaped like giant daggers, dark and silent, swallowing light wherever they passed. Planets had vanished before them. Civilizations had burned. Resistance had always ended the same way, in ashes. As they neared Earth, they did not expect a challenge. Earth was small, loud, emotional, not a threat. To the Valkyrie, it was just another name to erase from the star maps. Their commanders laughed in their language of clicks and static, mocking the blue planet's ancient defenses and untrained species. They launched warning blasts into the moon's surface, not to start a war, but to let Earth know one had already been won. Across the fleet, weapons began charging. Communication arrays opened, but Earth sent no reply. To the Valkyrie, silence was submission. But Earth's silence was different. It felt planned, focused. And deep inside the lead vessel, something strange was already waiting. Not weapons, not machines. Just a man, bound, calmed, and watching. Earth did not scream. Earth did not plead. Earth did not even try to speak. As the Valkyrie ships entered orbit, the planet below stayed dark. No military signals, no panic in the airwaves, no message of surrender. The cities were there, glowing faintly beneath the clouds, but no one moved. It was like Earth had held its breath all at once. This silence was not weakness. It was waiting. Inside the Valkyrie fleet, some commanders grew confused. A few even worried. Other species had begged before the first blast, but Earth? Earth only watched. Their scanners showed no fleets, no energy spikes, no weapons charging. But something still felt wrong. A coldness spread through the bridge of the lead ship. Their sensors flickered. Static rose on their screens. One by one, the stars around Earth dimmed, not from space dust or system failure, but from something they could not explain. And then, without warning, a transport vessel landed. At the heart of the Valkyrie flagship, no attack. No army. Just one human. Alone. And silent. He did not fight when they took him. The Valkyrie troops had expected struggle, screams, fear, perhaps even a last-minute attempt to run. But the human gave them none of that. He walked willingly onto their ship. Hands unshaking, eyes steady. His clothes were torn from smoke and ash, his face marked with dust. But his expression stayed calm, almost bored. They scanned him over and over. No hidden weapons, no implants, no strange tech. Just flesh and bone. Just a man. But something about him felt wrong, too still, too quiet. They placed him in the center chamber of the dreadnought, a place where alien generals once broke enemies, with pressure fields and fear toxins. But the human sat there, unmoved, as if he had already seen worse. Some of the Valkyrie began to whisper. This human was not a soldier. He had no armor, no marks of rank. And yet, he looked at them not with fear, but pity. He watched their movements like he was studying them, like he was already 3 steps ahead. And when the Supreme Commander finally entered the room, the man looked up and smiled. Just slightly. No chains could shake that calm. No threat could change his stare, and in that silence, the Valkyrie began to feel something unfamiliar. Doubt that the chamber lights dimmed as the Supreme Commander stepped forward. He was taller than the others, built from layers of blackened armor and ancient scars. His voice, when it came, was not loud, but it echoed like a storm rolling through metal halls. He did not speak right away. He circled the human slowly, like a predator unsure why its prey was not running. The human met his eyes without blinking. "Do you understand who we are?" the commander asked, his tone calm but sharp. The human said nothing. The commander leaned closer, his breath hissing through his helmet vents. "We have erased worlds. We have burned moons. We have never lost." Still no reaction, no fear. "Number?" Question. Finally, the commander's voice dropped to a whisper, colder than before. "Do you not fear us?" For a moment, the room felt like it had stopped breathing. The guards stood still. The watchers leaned in, and then the human answered. His voice soft, clear, and without the smallest tremble. "No." One word, and it was like that word cut through the metal walls, slicing deeper than any weapon ever could. Something shifted in the air, not just confusion, not just insult, but something else. A warning. Hidden inside that calm voice, the chamber stayed silent after that one word. No. The Supreme Commander stood still, like a statue carved from war itself. The guards shifted uneasily. None of them expected this. In all their conquests, not a single prisoner had ever spoken like that. Not without shaking, not without begging. This man answered like he was not impressed. The commander's fingers twitched, claws sliding across the edge of his armor. He stepped closer to the human, searching his eyes for some sign, fear, arrogance, even madness. But the human's gaze held steady. "It is not courage," the commander growled, almost to himself. "You are not strong enough to resist us." "So what is it?" The human smiled, just a little. A tired kind of smile, almost like he pitied them. "You do not understand," he said quietly. "It was never about fear." A pause hung heavy in the air. The commander straightened. Then, "What is it about?" he demanded. The human leaned back against the cold metal wall, eyes still fixed on nothing in particular, like he was watching a memory, not the room. "It is about knowing something you don't." Those words cut deeper than the first. Not a threat, not a scream, a calm suggestion that something had already happened. And they were already too late. The commander's chest began to rise and fall faster. Suddenly, this was no longer about intimidation. This was about control. And it was slipping. Above the interrogation chamber, in the shadowed decks of the control room, unease began to spread. Varkari officers stood behind glowing panels, watching the feed in silence. What was supposed to be a simple psychological break had turned into something far more unsettling. "He is not resisting," one officer whispered. "He is not reacting," said another. "Or maybe he does not need to." They tried scanning the human again. Heartbeat normal. Brain activity slightly elevated, but not unstable. And yet, the machines could not explain the signals his mind was giving off. Patterns they had never seen before. Pulses that did not match fear, or anything they had recorded in other species. In the background, static began building on the external sensors. No source, no interference. Just noise. A communications lieutenant leaned forward. "We're picking up echoes." "From where?" asked her superior. She looked back at the screen. The data flickered. "From inside the ship." "But they're bouncing outward." The room grew colder. Some officers stepped back from their stations. The human, just a single, unarmed figure, was now the most observed being in the entire Varkari fleet. And no one could explain why he made them feel like something was watching them now. From the outside. Or maybe from below. The human closed his eyes. He did not speak again. He did not move. But something was happening. Something the Varkari could not see, but felt. In the command chamber, the air grew heavier. Lights flickered for a moment, like the ship itself was unsure if it should keep running. The guards exchanged glances, their hands moving toward weapons they did not fully understand. Then, without warning, the human whispered 3 words. Just 3. And every sensor in the ship lit up red. Varkari systems tried to track the source, But there was no signal, no sound, no wave. It was like the words had not traveled through air. They had traveled through memory. The Supreme Commander stepped back. "What did you do?" he demanded. The human slowly opened his eyes. "I just remembered." That was when it hit them. This man was not carrying a weapon. He was the weapon. The human's memory, calm, silent, buried beneath emotionless stares, was not just memory. It was a locked signal, a biological transmitter, a living key. The moment he spoke those words, it sent a pulse, invisible, undetectable, but already racing across the stars. The Varkari had believed they were in control, but they had activated something they did not even know existed, and now they could not stop it. It began with a flicker in deep space, far beyond Earth's orbit. In the dark stretch between systems, dormant satellites awakened. They had no names. They belonged to no known nation. They had waited, unnoticed, for years, silent, sleeping. Until now, triggered by the human's voice, they lit up like stars catching fire. Within seconds, the signal leapt from one satellite to another, bouncing across ancient channels, skipping across time-locked frequencies the Varkari had never detected. The broadcast pulsed outward like a heartbeat. Every military probe the Varkari had placed near Earth went blind. Inside the dreadnought, panic spread fast. "We are losing external vision," one officer shouted. "Our deep space relays, they are collapsing." But it was more than blindness. The message was not just sound, it was visual. A live image began to appear on every screen, not hacked, not forced, just present. A field, Earth soil, and standing in the middle were hundreds of humans. Each with eyes glowing faintly, each standing still, watching the sky, each one linked. The human inside the chamber did not look at the screen. He already knew what was being shown. "You thought we were scattered," he said softly, "that we were weak. But we are connected now. We are awake." The commander shouted, "Shut it down!" But nothing responded. Every Varkari ship across the fleet received the same image, same voice, same signal. Humanity was no longer hiding. They were signaling back. The Supreme Commander felt it first, that sharp twist in his gut that no battle had ever caused. Fear. Because of weapons. Not because of fleets. Because they had miscalculated badly. The Varkari had always conquered with precision. They studied, predicted, and crushed resistance before it began. But nothing in their data had warned them that humans could turn silence into strategy, that they could use memory as a trigger, and unity as a weapon. In the control rooms, officers scrambled. One tried to jam the signal, but the controls did not respond. Another tried to cut power to the chamber. Nothing happened. Their systems were still running, but no longer obeying. All across the dreadnought, whispers turned to shouts. Some claimed they heard voices in their minds. Others said they saw flickers of their homeworlds, like their thoughts were being pulled open. "Commander," a voice cried from behind a monitor, "we are being scanned." The human sat still. He was not sending commands. He was not leading fleets. He was simply connected. And through him, Earth was learning everything. Positions, weaknesses, codes, fears. The Varkari had taken him thinking he was just a man. Now they knew. He was a door, and something was stepping through. Their strength was not enough. Their weapons, their walls, their pride. None of it worked here. This was not just about Earth anymore. This was about what comes next. When fear changes sides, the human finally stood. No chains held him now. Not because they were removed, but because they no longer mattered. Around him, alarms screamed, lights flashed, voices panicked. The Varkari dreadnought, once silent and controlled, now echoed with the sound of confusion and dread. He looked up at the towering Supreme Commander, and he smiled. Not a cruel smile. Not a mocking one. It was soft, calm, final, You asked me if I feared you, he said. You should have asked if you should fear us. The commander did not respond. He could not. Behind the human, the chamber walls flickered. Holograms danced to life, showing Varkari ships across the stars, each one trapped in a field of static, their systems frozen, their fleets locked. Human stepped forward, his boots echoing lightly across the metal floor. For centuries, you believed fear kept the galaxy in place, that no one would rise against you. He paused, that smile remained. You were right until today. Outside the dreadnought, the stars looked the same, but everything had changed. One human, one voice, one message. And now, the empire that silenced thousands of worlds had been silenced by just one. And that was the moment fear changed direction. If you felt the power of this story, give the video a like and share it with someone who loves deep sci-fi. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss the next chapter, the next story. We'll go even deeper.